JT Show.
What's going on, you sexy beasts, and welcome to another episode of the Smash JT Show, my weekly episodic adventure talking about divisive issues in the video game industry and beyond sometimes. And it airs every Friday, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. Without further ado, let's just jump right into it. Now, this week I'm going to focus on one topic, something that has really been eating at me for a while now as technology's progressed, and that is, at what point is realism in video games going too far? Recently, with Red Dead Redemption 2 and finding out about the horse testicles shrinking and enlarging depending on the temperature and weather outside, it got me wondering, are we going a little bit too far with this realism thing in video games? This is coming from a guy who loves retro video games, loves the Mario worlds, the Links to the Past, the Metroids, the Castlevanias, the Metal Gear Solids. All these games focus on the fun aspect of video games, with games like Metal Gear Solid going a little bit more into the realism realm, but still making sure they focus on the fun. When I heard about Red Dead Redemption 2 and the horse testicles changing size, it really got me wondering, are we on a path of creating video games that are just going a little bit too far? And this isn't someone who really necessarily cares about horse testicles shrinking or enlarging based off the weather. I think it's actually kind of comical, but it also leans up against that whole realism thing where there are plenty of gamers out there that want the most realistic experience out of a game as possible. With 4K TVs, 60 frames per second, polygons that you can't even count anymore, these game systems are capable of things we could have never dreamed of back in the day. But now we find ourselves at a crossroads of, what do we want out of our video games? Why do we even play video games? Because it used to be we wanted to have fun with them. But now it's transcending into this new area of, how realistic can this game look? How good can the graphics be? How fast can the frame rates get with it before I actually enjoy the experience? And a part of me wonders where we as gamers went wrong, where our priorities shifted into this area of hyper-realism as opposed to hyper-fun. And this is something that I wonder if the game industry is pushing as their agenda to sell in marketing to gamers as a way of creating new content to make sure that that $60 price tag or whatever it ends up being after all the DLC and microtransactions is somewhat justified? Or is it the gamers who are demanding more out of these game companies, wanting them to make hyper-realistic games, wanting to see what the next crazy thing they do in the game is? Like horse testicles shrinking and growing depending on the weather outside in Red Dead Redemption 2. It just is weird to me. I don't know. I had to make a video on this to talk about it because I wanted to get a temperature check as to where the community is on this. Wonder if I'm the one that's going crazy, or maybe I'm just not picking up on what I should be enjoying based off of what everybody else is loving out there. But for me personally, I have plenty of fun playing Super Mario World. I have plenty of fun playing games like Metroid. I even have plenty of fun playing new games like Mario Odyssey, or role-playing games like Octopath Traveler, or indie games like The Messenger. I don't know about these hyper-realistic games though. It's not really my cup of tea. I wonder why so many people are gravitating towards that though. The bro gamers, the general public, the mass public at large, everybody who plays video games seems to be drawn to, how realistic can we make these games before I make that purchase? And that's why I wonder where we're going to end up in the near future, and for that matter, the far future. Are games going to be the most realistic thing you could ever imagine? Like what we used to think Night Trap was on the Sega CD? Where games are actually going to look that realistic without actual actors playing the roles in them? Are you going to have that much fun with that game? what do you want out of your games? There's so many questions that I have based off of horse testicles shrinking and enlarging that it's mind-boggling. Anyways, I'm going to leave the episode at that. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about hyper-realistic games. Do you want the industry to push the envelope as far as possible to see what they can come up with and what the general public wants out of these companies to make? Or are you on the other side of this fence where you enjoy playing video games for the fun aspect and the graphics themselves don't really matter to you as long as the game is fun and the gameplay is on point? Shouldn't that be all that matters? And that's where I'm going to end this week's episode. First off, I want to say thank you again to all the generous Patreons supporting Smash JT on a monthly basis. Without your support, this channel would not continue. So thank you. If anyone out there is interested in joining them for as little as $1 per month, hit that Patreon link that just showed up on the screen right now. If you're new to the channel, you enjoy what I'm doing here, hit the subscribe button, the bell for notifications, because we all know how YouTube is with those notifications. And if you missed last week's episode, I'll put it on the screen right now as well. That's all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, you stay sexy.